The Cybertruck is genius. Here's why. The Tesla Cybertruck is an ugly, ineffective, inefficient, impractical, unsafe, overpriced, poorly made, rusty refrigerator on wheels. But also the Tesla Cybertruck is genius. Here's why. The real genius of Tesla's design philosophy is its unmistakable individuality. In this day and age, it's nearly impossible to have an original idea anymore. Everything you see kind of looks like something else, except for the Cybertruck. This is especially true in the automotive industry, where every design is subject to the same general limitations. It has to have wheels, doors, windshields, and bumpers, so there are only so many liberties that can be taken. The proof of this is that the Cybertruck has zero Tesla branding present on the exterior of the vehicle. No one needs to be told that this is a Tesla Cybertruck. They just know. This is the biggest indicator that Tesla has achieved an iconic design. Even the most average, uninformed person who couldn't tell a Toyota Camry from a Kia Forte knows a Cybertruck when they see one. Now, some people might argue that making something so brutally ugly that it becomes an icon is not the same thing as iconic design. But it kind of begs the question, do we want our cars to be beautiful in the first place? This is especially true in the context of a pickup truck. This is not a piece of art made to be admired in a glass case. This is a metal box that I'm going to leave outside in my driveway. It's going to get rained on, soon on, birds are going to poop on it. I take it to the grocery store and people smash their carts into it. It gets scratched, faded, rusted, and 10 years later, I trade the car in for 1/10 the price that I paid in the beginning. The design philosophy behind the Cybertruck is exactly what we need to break this cycle. The Cybertruck makes no illusions about being a metal box on wheels. It doesn't hide behind paint. It dares people to smash carts into it and takes the hit like a champ. Sure, it might get a little rusty on the surface from time to time. It's a feature of having no paint job. Just hit it with a belt sander and buff it out. What are you going to do if Joe Rogan comes to your house and shoots your car with an arrow? Well, he can shoot my Cybertruck all he wants. It's called patina. It looks cool. Innovation. Of course, there is a lot more to the success of a vehicle than just its looks or lack thereof, depending on your opinion. The Cybertruck had a lot to live up to after its creator, Elon Musk, promised the moon for a seemingly impossibly low price. Did the Cybertruck deliver on those high expectations? No, but that also doesn't mean that the Cybertruck failed to innovate. It just took a more subtle path towards changing the game, one that we never even expected. For example, the four-wheel steer-by-wire system implemented on the Cybertruck is by far the most insane technological level up that has ever been done in the automotive industry, period. We've seen four-wheel steering in limited applications. We've seen steer-by-wire in even more limited applications. But Cybertruck is the first time we've ever seen what happens when you drop both systems into the one vehicle that stood to benefit the most from both of them, and then do it better than anyone has done before. Lexus was the first automaker to try and introduce steer-by-wire as an innovation with their first Urus 450 crossover vehicle prototypes in 2022. While the technology seemed to work well enough once people got the hang of it, reviewers were left wondering what purpose it served, having only made the car more difficult to drive and offering no tangible benefit. On the other hand, Tesla was the first automaker to introduce a yoke-style steering wheel with their Model S Plaid in 2021, which again worked well enough once drivers got used to it, but left pretty much everyone wondering just what purpose it really served, having only made the car more difficult to drive and offering, again, no real tangible benefit. General Motors fared a little better with their implementation of four-wheel steering on the 2022 electric Hummer, allowing the rear wheel to move in harmony with the front, giving the massive vehicle an uncanny level of agility. But even still, drivers would find themselves cranking a steering wheel from one extreme to the other to get the most benefit from the system. And this is where the Cybertruck swoops in and takes three half-baked ideas and combines them into one system that just makes sense. Here's how the Cybertruck steering system works. Each wheel is connected to a steering rack, one for the front wheels and one for the rear. Now, instead of being controlled by a mechanical steering column and pinion system, these racks are driven by electric motors. There are two redundant steering motors on the front rack and one motor on the rear rack. These steering motors are controlled by an onboard computer. What it's doing is taking input signals from the driver and combining that with real-time data about the speed of the vehicle to determine where the driver wants to go, and then it tunes the activation of the motors accordingly. On the inside of the Cybertruck, steering input goes through this new mashup of a steering yoke and a wheel. Tesla calls it a squircle, like Squirtle, but with a C because it's more like a squared-off circle. It's an interesting choice on Tesla's part because, thanks to steer-by-wire, the squirrel never actually needs to be spun like a wheel. It only moves up to 180 degrees in either direction, so it alleviates the biggest problem with Tesla's steering yoke design from the Model S, because that vehicle still has a traditional mechanical steering system. So now we have a rectangle-shaped steering object that needs to be moved in a circular direction. It's like a square peg in a round hole. Doesn't make much sense. With steer-by-wire, the yoke design makes perfect sense. And yet, this was the moment when Tesla decided to compromise and bring back some elements of the wheel to create the squircle for the Cybertruck. Here's what that looks like at low speeds. A small amount of input from the driver will be translated into a relatively large amount of movement on the steering rack, while at high speeds, a large amount of input from the driver will be translated into a relatively low amount of movement on the steering rack. The same software algorithm is applied to the four-wheel steering operation. When the truck is moving at speeds below 40 miles per hour, the rear wheels will turn up to 10 degrees in the opposite direction of the front wheels. This effectively shrinks the wheelbase of the truck and tightens up the turning circle. The Cybertruck can turn a tighter circle than the Model S, which has essentially eliminated the biggest downside to pickup truck ownership. The only thing that the Cybertruck doesn't do is crank the rear wheels fully in the same direction as the front wheels at low speed, which would result in a diagonal crabbing movement, which is a special feature on the Hummer EV. In theory, this is something Tesla could easily add in software, but they probably didn't see as much real-world use for it. And then for speeds above 40 miles per hour, the rear wheels will turn a very slight degree in the same direction as the front wheels. This will help to smooth out steering performance during slight maneuvers like lane changes, which is the one time when you do want the vehicle to move as sideways as possible. This is already a significantly more advanced approach than what Lexus has been testing out in their new crossover platform. The biggest complaint about the Lexus steer-by-wire system was essentially that they tried to maintain a linear steering profile, like with a mechanical system, but with the same reduction in steering input. So no matter what speed you are traveling in the Lexus, a small amount of steering input would turn the car a little, and a large amount of steering would turn the car a lot, making slight movements at high speed like a lane change into a very fine balance between the right amount of steering input and way too much. I'm going to let you in on a little marketing secret here. I was in the room with Elon Musk when he first came up with the Cybertruck design, and I'm going to tell you that Elon was not trying to design the perfect pickup truck. He was trying to hack the manufacturing process. He was not prioritizing strength, durability, or aerodynamics. Elon was making a truck that would piss people off, and it's one of the most genius marketing decisions of the century, because if there's one thing that we've learned from social media over the past decade, it's that people love to be outraged. Love it much more than they could enjoy being satisfied. I don't know why that is. I'm not a psychiatrist, but Elon Musk figured out a way to capitalize on this new feature of society. I mean, he bought the website where people go to complain about Elon Musk, his money, and his products, and they still use the website. Not only do people pay Elon Musk to complain about Elon Musk, but they also advertise his products for him for free. Because no publicity is bad publicity. This is 100% true in business. Just look at Twitter or X or whatever. The more time the media spends trying to bash the website and tell the world that it is failing, the more user activity the website attracts. And speaking of which, you thought I was lying about the Cybertruck thing. But why do you think Elon changed the name from Twitter to X? To piss people off, and it worked. So the more people froth at the mouth to pull the gotcha moment on the Cybertruck by talking about how the battery dies after an hour of driving, or it gets stuck in the snow, or the mirrors fall off, or the body starts to rust out almost instantly after you get it wet. As true as those stories might be, they are only helping Elon to make his truck famous. Share in the comments. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell to never miss an update. See you in the future video, and thanks for watching.